You ever sit there and think, if I just had $1 million, I'd be set for life? Like, that's the number, right? $1 million. Sounds like freedom. Sounds like security. It sounds like never checking your bank account before ordering guac again. But then your brain goes, wait, if I had $1 million, how fast does that actually grow? And how much can I safely spend without screwing it up? That question? That's literally me. My name is Ethan. And I spend way too much time thinking about how money compounds. And how people actually retire without running out of it. If you're someone who wants financial freedom, but secretly worries you'll either never reach $1 million, or you'll reach it and not know what to do with it, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Today we're breaking down how fast $1 million actually grows, what the 4% rule really means, whether it still works, and the mistakes most people make when they hear $1 million. By the end, you're going to look at that number very differently. First, let's challenge the big assumption. Here's what most people assume. If I have $1 million invested, I can just live off the interest. Sounds simple. But what interest? In a savings account at 1%? That's $10,000 per year. In U.S. Treasury bonds at around 4%? That's $40,000 per year. In a diversified stock portfolio historically averaging 8 to 10%? That's $80,000 to $100,000 per year, on average. Big difference. According to long-term historical data from Vanguard and Morningstar, the U.S. stock market has returned roughly 10% annually before inflation, and about 7% after inflation over long periods. But here's the catch. Markets don't give you 10% every year. They give you plus 20%, minus 15%, plus 8%, plus 3%. It's messy. And that's where the 4% rule comes in. What is the 4% rule? Explained simply. The 4% rule came from a famous retirement study called the Trinity Study. Researchers basically asked, if someone retires with a portfolio of stocks and bonds, how much can they withdraw each year without running out of money over 30 years? The answer? About 4% of the starting portfolio, adjusted for inflation each year. So let's do the math. If you have $1 million, 4% of that is $40,000 per year. That's $3,333 per month. That's the safe withdrawal amount, historically speaking, in most market conditions. Now you might be thinking, wait, I thought $1 million meant rich. And this is where things get interesting. Why $1 million feels bigger than it is? Psychology plays a huge role here. $1 million is a round number. It's culturally loaded. It's the milestone. But in retirement math, it's just a base number in a formula. Here's what most people misunderstand. The 4% rule is not about spending the interest. It's about spending a portion of the portfolio while it continues to grow. Let me show you how fast $1 million actually grows. Let's assume your $1 million portfolio earns a conservative 7% average annual return. That's $70,000 in growth in year one. If you withdraw $40,000, your portfolio still grows by $30,000 that year. Meaning, you now have $1 million, $30,000. And next year, 7% of that is even more. This is the key insight. Even while withdrawing 4%, your money is often still growing. Over 10 years at 7%, without withdrawals, $1 million becomes about $1.97 million. With 4% withdrawals? It depends on market order, but historically in many scenarios, the portfolio still survives 30+ years. That's powerful. But here's the risk most people ignore. It's not average returns that matter. It's sequence of returns. If the market drops 20% in your first year of retirement and you're still pulling $40,000, that hurts more than if the drop happens later. That's called sequence risk. And it's why flexibility matters. Here's what most people get wrong. They treat 4% like a guarantee. It's not a promise. It's a probability based on history. What does $40,000 a year actually mean? Let's ground this. $40,000 per year. In a paid-off house in a low-cost area? Very doable. In a high-cost city with no other income? Tight. This is why retirement isn't just a portfolio number. It's an expense number. If your annual expenses are $60,000, you don't need $1 million. You need $1.5 million. That's the real math. The surprising part. Now here's where this gets interesting. If you don't withdraw anything and let $1 million grow at 7% for 20 years, it becomes about $3.87 million. That's the power of compounding untouched. So sometimes the fastest way to make $1 million grow is to not touch it. Think of it like a fruit tree. If you keep pulling branches off, it struggles. If you harvest lightly, it thrives. But what if returns are lower? Fair question. If returns average 5% instead of 7%? Now your $1 million grows by $50,000 per year. Withdraw $40,000 and you're only netting $10,000 growth. Much thinner margin. This is why diversification, asset allocation, and realistic return assumptions matter. The Federal Reserve's long-term projections for balanced portfolios often sit in the 5 to 7% range going forward. So planning at 7% and withdrawing 4% gives a buffer. The real lesson, it's not about the million. Here's what most people think. I just need to hit $1 million. But the real formula is financial freedom equals expenses divided by safe withdrawal rate. It's math, not vibes. If your expenses are low, you need less. If your lifestyle inflates, you need more. Which brings us to something uncomfortable. Sometimes building wealth is easier than controlling lifestyle creep. That's hedonic adaptation. Your brain gets used to upgrades fast. So, is $1 million enough? It depends on your expenses, your flexibility, your investment mix, your timeline. But here's the empowering part. $1 million properly invested is not static, just dynamic. At 7%, it doubles roughly every 10 years using the rule of 72. That means, left alone, $1 million, $2 million in about a decade. That's wild. Look, the 4% rule isn't magic. It's a framework. It tells you how much you can likely withdraw, how fast your money might grow, and how to think probabilistically about retirement. But here's what most people miss. The million is just the midpoint. The real power is in understanding how it grows and how your behavior affects it. If this helped simplify the 4% rule and made the math less intimidating, hit subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments. If you had $1 million invested today, would you withdraw 4% or let it compound? I'll see you in the next one.